Hey, well, good day. Flat Earth Aussie Roscoe here again, just with another little video response to a certain number of responses, I guess you might call them. It's just a bit of a warm-up, a prelude, if you will, to tomorrow's debate, which is still at this stage going ahead with Team Skeptic, pardon me. It's an Australian fault we have, where we accidentally call Seppos septic tanks. Hence why we call them Seppos in the first place. Septic tanks, Yanks, it goes way back to the Vietnam War era. About when I was born, actually. So, Psy-Man Dam, as I call him with the PSY, not the SCI, because he's not a scientist. He's anything but. He's just another one of these skeptical, boot-licking, ass-kissing YouTube sensations, and I will put the peepers on so I can read a little bit better. He's got 312,000 subscribers, so, someone like me and my tiny little, not even 500 subscribers, you'd hardly expect me to be a blip on his radar, of course. And yet I seem to get under the skin of quite a lot of his followers, simply because out of the 312,000, they're lucky to ever get one genuine flat earther. And I hesitate to use the word genuine flat earther because it's a misnomer. I'm just a genuine truther. And the fact that it led me down the flat earth path, I understand how to the average person it's going to make me sound automatically crazy because they haven't investigated. They haven't looked into the flat earth. They don't care. All they want to do is ridicule something which seems to be the flavour of the month to ridicule. It's like, well, you don't support the favourite football team, therefore you're a loser, you're an idiot, blah blah. You can poke fun at you, whatever it may be. And flat earth seems to be one of the current things, and yet the defendants of flat earth, you're looking at one right here, we've stuck to our guns. We haven't backed down. There's nothing that the globe defenders have brought in the last 5 or 6 years to convince us to go back. They'll bring obscure little arguments, like one bloke I know personally says the whole reason he went back after considering it was the other planets. And I'm like, but dude, did you go to one of these other planets? Have you seen specimens? How do you know they're planets? Except from NASA cartoons, Disneyland cartoons, the whole stuff we've raised on. Cartoons, movies, CGI, and stuff that we'll never know for ourselves. We think there's other planets, and that of course seems to help debunk the whole concept of being on the only physical plane at the bottom of the known universe. It's very useful. It's a very useful programming tool to fill your head full of nonsense. And the more nonsense you're filled with, the easier it is to fill it with more nonsense. That's the whole point of it. So anyway, this one is a no-brainer. I feel embarrassed to even have to bring it up in this day and age, but still, people are asking it. And the number of comments that have come up since, thank goodness it's only 57, because half the time they hit like a couple of hundred and it takes forever to load them up. And I'd just like to thank my sponsor, Cooper's Brewery from South Australia. You make the best beer in the world, and I've been drinking it for the last 25 years. Well, I make my own these days out of your concentrate, so it's damn good stuff. Saved me a few bucks making it. So the Johnny, we won't call him anything to do with a toilet. Let's do a Psy-Man Dam hand signal, shall we? Easy flat Earth debunk. Moon observed from southern hemisphere looks upside down. People are still saying that to this day, so I just responded, since I saw one of the comments. I'd already responded elsewhere, which does have hundreds. I'll go back to some of them maybe later, maybe not, who knows. I just went, easy idiot debunk. Stick any picture on the ceiling and view it from one side of the room. Cross the room and view it again. Wow, the picture magically flipped. Therefore, your floor must be spherical. Idiot. Simple as that. It's as simple as that. Now, I will have to elaborate on this more, of course, because it's just too simple for globe heads. And when you do adjust it for scale, in the real world, with the real moon up really high, really, really high, like at least 50, maybe 100 miles, who knows? It's pretty bloody high. You're only ever going to see the bottom side of it. That's all you will ever see. Same as a plane, 30,000 feet. Flying directly towards you, flying away from you, makes no difference. You're only ever going to see the undercarriage. And that's barely 5 miles, 6 miles high. Something 50, 100 miles high? Even less of the sides you're ever going to see. So many people are going to bring this up I've read some of these already, but I'm just going to go through them one at a time now. Doofus Manfred says, at Flat Earth Aussie Roscoe, yet every observation point south of the equator has it at the same orientation. That doesn't work on the flat Earth globe projection of choice. The flat Earth globe projection. Flat Earth anti-globe projection might be a better term to have used in the first place. And then it's put in brackets, the Gleason map. Now, we know for a fact not all the maps are accurate 100%, but they work. That's what matters. The maps work. We can navigate by them. The continents themselves are accurate. The distances over ocean, give or take, might be out a fair bit. But most navigation routes don't even go across mid-ocean. They follow coastlines. They basically, for safety reasons, continent hop. They go to a known island in the middle. Hawaii or Tahiti or somewhere. Like when I went to the States when I was 16, we stopped at Tahiti along the way, a refueling stop. It's pretty darn basic. We didn't just fly across mid-ocean. So, anyway, his point is, every observation point south of the equator has it at the same orientation. So, Mr. Doofus Manfred, before we go any further, what evidence are you specifically bringing to this discussion to say where you have first-hand observations from every point south of the equator of the moon at the same time? Now, obviously, you can't do it yourself. Obviously, then you've words are escaping me at the moment. You've banded together with a bunch of other people. I'm trying to think of a highly more intelligent word, but sometimes I haven't got enough of this into me. Ooh, you have conspired with others to take observations of the moon from every observation point south of the equator and prove that it's the same. Now, you have to do this at the same time. Your problem there is 50% of the people south of the equator aren't going to be able to see the moon at the same time. That's a major hurdle right there. The second one is that by the time they do see it, the moon itself is also slightly rotating. You can film that yourself from your local position as the moon goes from one side of your visual horizon to the other, a distance of, 6 miles? Where your horizon is. Fair enough, the sky bit might be 10,000 miles, but the point is, you do see it rotate. And so that rotation, to somebody from another point of view, looking back up at it from a different spot, is going to see what was your correct orientation of it previously, and so it will look the same. Because it is actually rotating. If it wasn't, it would look distinctly different from every point of view, therefore making your point wrong. So whichever way you look at it, your point is a workable, doable thing above a flat, stationary, planar Earth, and it's got nothing to do with the globe. In fact, on the globe is where all that falls apart. Though I will concede. No, I won't. I won't concede. If you're looking out at a distant object from the side of a wall, it doesn't matter if you're at the top of the wall or the bottom of the wall, if you're on the ground or up on the ceiling or on the roof of a building, looking out at a distant tree, for example, it's still going to appear upright. So why is the moon inverted just because you're looking at it? And what are you, laying on your back or something when you look at it when you're on the ground, but you're standing up when you're up on the roof looking at it? It makes no sense. The moon will appear the way it looks depending on your orientation of looking at it. And on the flat Earth model, it is basically going around the centre, the equator, North Pole in the centre, and Antarctica around the perimeter. So people in the north are inside the equator, people in the south are outside of the equator, looking up at something in the middle all the way around. Of course it's going to appear inverted. Exactly like sticking a picture on the ceiling, walking from one side of your room, the midpoint being the equator, one side being north, one point being south. Chaz King then comes along and says there's no easy flat earth debunk. These lot don't believe in any scientific proofs. Well, in actual fact, Chaz King, all of our proofs are the latest and greatest scientific proofs. We are up to date. We're not still believing in the superstitions of men 2,500 years ago looking down in a well, or measuring shadows of sticks, or estimating distances of camel travel, how many stadia a camel caravan took in how many days to travel from city to city to estimate the distances. Science has come a little bit further since then, and we don't base our beliefs upon something that happened 2,500 years ago. Thank you very much. So, to say that we don't believe in scientific proofs, mate, you've got a long way to go. What are we doing? We're using the latest and greatest in optics, infrared observations, laser measurements, distance measurements across vast distances. We've got the latest of scientific methods at our disposal, and yet using them, we cannot disprove the fact that Earth is flat. So, I know a lot of people love to bring up the ring laser gyro. Detection of motion, as they say, is relative. Detect motion of the sun or the stars, that will give you the same result. So, even though you haven't brought up the ring laser gyro, I just thought I'd do that in advance to say that it is proof of nothing apart from the fact that something has been pre-designed, pre-programmed by somebody you don't know. I don't know. I've never made a ring laser gyro from scratch. I've seen the normal mechanical gyroscope, which technically could be made from scratch. I don't have the devices to make it, but it could be done. It's not that difficult. And they prove that no amount of motion proves the aeroplane ever adjusts for any curvature. So if something doesn't exist, why then invent a new device to prove it does exist based on the belief you insist it must exist when it's proven it doesn't? Stefan Dingy Nouts To sum up, his point went completely over your head, and your arrogance in attacking him while not even having the mental capacity to understand his very, very, very simple point is utterly hilarious. For fuck's sakes, your own comment proves him right, moron. At Psy-Man Dan, this might be worthy of pinning. Dude, yeah, the moon is over my head. I'll grant you that. That's where all the Celestials are. I was hardly attacking him. I was just calling him an idiot for not understanding how such a simple concept can easily be explained from one side of a room to another, and the Earth being the biggest room of all, with the biggest ceiling. Ran encounter. Funny how you flat Earth idiots cannot even grasp what the argument is. I guess it's all gone over my head, of course. Silky says, "Oh, a flat Earth idiot here. Tell me again, where's your flat Earth model to explain day and night again, or seasons, or anything really? Nothing, huh? What a surprise." Well, in actual fact, I did spend some time on one of the other comments on here. I wonder if scrolling down past the 57 will even show it. It may. Possibly not. No, I'll have to scroll for ages. What I'll have to do is come back later and just find one of the responses, which should still be in my notifications. For some reason I get recent notifications if I'm on YouTube, and yet some of these older discussions I've been having with other people, ongoing ones, I get no notifications. So yeah, I do apologise to certain people, like even Mr. Huffer, whatever his name is, Sean Hufford. He apparently says he made a experiment showing the laser pointer thermometer reflecting off glass, showing a different temperature via the reflection coming off the table, which was probably warmer than the glass in the first place. Anyway, I didn't see it, but there's no need, because I did the same experiment. I got the laser pointer out, I pointed it at the glass, I saw the reflection on the table, and it stayed the same. And then I put my hand underneath the reflection of the laser, and the temperature stayed the same. So the reflection of the laser pointer thermometer is not what it's measuring at all. It's just measuring the actual thing it's pointing at. So whatever he was trying to say there, yeah, I did test that, mate. Mike UK, who built your dome or the sun before we had technology? Aliens? LOL. Cringe, mate, cringe. It's not my dome. I don't even know if there is a dome. I've never professed to believe there is. I just say in all likelihood, it seems as though there probably is. It all adds up that there is, but I haven't seen it, haven't proven it. I'm still looking for evidence. So to declare who built something thousands and millions of years in the past who I've never met, I don't even know what they've built, it's a bit of a loaded question, isn't it, mate? I think you should take it one step at a time and just work on the things that we can test, examine and prove. Kyle says to Mike UK, he will probably say a magical sky wizard put it there. Yeah, well, maybe I did, maybe I didn't. Christoph B says, you are Australian flat earther? Would you kindly take a photo of Polaris from Australia for me? Mate, I've been over this 1,000 times before. Polaris isn't visible from Australia. That's how perspective works. Polaris is the North Pole star, the fixed star above the North Pole. When you travel away from north, which is outwards, southwards in any direction, outwards, you reach a point on all the charts and maps that draw circles around Polaris, magnetic circles, latitude. Sometimes you've got to think about latitude, longitude. Latitude lines. You reach a point, what we call the equator, and that's that point, right? where you're so far away from that light in the sky, what, you can't even see it no more. Bloody hell. Are you that thick? Everything in the distance appears to get lower as you get further away from it, even the stars. And just because you get further away from them doesn't mean you're going over a curve. That's the incorrect thinking. That's what you dum-dums do. Believe we're going into the underworld once we hit the equator. We're going down into the underworld. Be strong, man. Pray. It's just distance. It gets obscured by distance. You can't see Polaris beyond the equator. And so, Souter, outside the equator, we don't see it. But we've got different stars because they're near. It is so simple. I feel like bitch slapping you through my fucking screen. Christoph, Sir Knight Arthurius responds to Christoph B. I was a boy to ask the same. Ha ha ha. Fuck off, Sir Knight Arthurius. Evans, Roscoe, do you not see that your point actually proves his point? LOL, classic. What a spanner. Actually, no, I take that back. Spanners are of some use. Spanner crabs, yeah, quite delicious actually. No, my point doesn't prove his point. It proves that the world is really fucking big. A. C. Comes after B. B, being the equator, being the midpoint. C, being where you see it from either side of the equator, is why it's fucking inverted. My golly gosh, me giddy. Spinners with some use, yeah, I think I might throw one in the works and not a moron. Oh, this guy's been harassing me quite a bit lately. I think he's quite fond of me. Hello, not a moron. 14 hours ago. So by that logic, in inverted commas, the moon will be oriented one way from the side of the room, but as you cross the room it will turn upside down and then back to the original when you get to the other side. Yep, seems legit. Read more. Idiot. Oh. Okay. A lot of people like to project. No, it's you guys in the northern hemisphere that see it upside down. It's always been that way for me. Oh, don't tell me he's a fellow southern hemispherian or outer spherian. Outer planian. New words are coming all the time. A fellow calls himself Roadman on Job. And he says, this might possibly be the dumbest fucktard thing I've heard. You're really going to compare the distance of the Earth and the Moon to a room in a house? Yes, mate, I am. And the reason I can do that is because when you're out looking at the Moon, you can even use your thumb. Stick it up in front of your eyeballs and look how you can block out the entire Moon with your thumb. Everything is basically about scale, but there's the converse side of that, to say that everything you see at the scale that you see it is just as effective as seeing it whether it's at that scale or that scale. You're still seeing it the same. The difference being, of course, you're not going to see the Moon inverted just by walking across the room, are you? In reality, in real scale, you're going to actually have to travel thousands of miles to the interior of the equator and then look back up at the Moon and then see it's inverted, which you wouldn't have enough time to do in the same period of time it takes for the Moon to have already passed by anyway. That's why you get your friend somewhere in the US, if you wish, and your friend in New Zealand or Australia, or if you've even got friends, I highly doubt it, get them to take a picture at the same time you take it and share it together at the same time. Facebook's a great way to do that, because half the idiots I'm always talking to are in the US and this idiot's always in Australia, so I can constantly do per their request. I just don't have very good photographic equipment, and maybe someday that might change. You never know. Someone might have a camera they'd like to assist me with. But anyway, the fact remains, you can do it simultaneously on any social media platform at any given moment and prove for yourself that it is the same as going from one side of the room to the other, except it's just a really, really big room, thousands of miles apart. And that's what we're talking about. That's why the P is inverted in real life. So, yes, roadman on job, I am going to compare the distance of the Earth and the Moon to a room in a house, because there is an equivalency. Cheshire Cat comes along. Oh, I haven't seen Cheshire in a while. Like I've told you several times, get a camera and point it south for me. And take a Star Trails video. You mean I've got to have a camera that's capable of taking Star Trails videos? Yeah, okay. Let's see, is there a centre of rotation? Yep, sure is, and that's not possible on any FE model. Why not? The stars are going to do what the stars are going to do no matter what model you believe in. That's not proof of motion of the Earth beneath your feet, let alone curvature, let alone orbital rate, let alone motion of the Sun. Christoph B says to Cheshire Cat, in addition to this experiment, flat Earths should also repeat this experiment pointing south, not just from Australia, but also southern parts of South America and southern Africa. Yeah, but the trouble is, night time is also always different at each of those places, so by the time the stars have actually come around, as they do every night, you've defeated your purpose, haven't you? Because you're not seeing them at the same time. When we see the stars, it's daytime in South Africa and South America, and vice versa. David Parry says to Chaz King, sadly they believe in continuing to breathe, stealing my oxygen and the oxygen belonging to my cat. Yes, David. You're a very intelligent fellow there. He also says to Christoph, by the way, he should also remind me which star the stars in the sky in Australia rotate around each night. Thanks in advance, Roscoe. Photos greatly appreciating. Okay, well, yeah, come and use my front yard if you want to bring a camera down. If you don't want to just donate one to me, I marry you. No, I'll marge you. Whatever that name is. Some people get quite creative with the names. At Flat Earth Aussie Roscoe. See, it's pretty straightforward. Not hard to say. I'll marge you. That only works if the moon is on the peak of its path and not when rising. Shake my head. Demonstration. Shows a demonstration of plastic plates on the floor. I did check this one earlier. Hello, Fly. You come to visit me again. Shows a video of plates on the floor and shows how when they're right in the middle, you walk from one side of the plates to the other. They will invert. Puts the plates further down the room, thinks that represents true scale on the Earth as it's seen from people all over the place at the same time. The trouble is, if you're going to do these sort of experiments, you have to be able to grasp scale. I cannot stress that enough. Scale is very, very, very important. Height of the moon, very important. Distance from the equator, very important. Not understanding how either of those work in a 3D reality from a flat surface looking up at it all, priceless. Cheshire Cat says, Christoph B, yep, but they never do for some strange reason. Happy Gamer L231. Hey guys, if he doesn't believe in science, an Earth's model is science. No, Earth's model is nature. It's not science. Science is the observation of nature. Don't put the cart before the horse. Anybody that says that it is science says basically gravity didn't exist until somebody measured it and detected it and put mathematics to it. Mathematics came long, long after, and they are man-made concepts, basically figures of one and figures of none. You've got ones and zeros. Every numeral is a multiple of 1, And from there, you just get obscured in nonsense, formulas, wizardry, stuff to try and explain stuff that doesn't need wizardry to explain. So I'll read again what Happy Gamer. I mean, people that consider themselves scientific go by Happy Gamer names. Hey guys, if he doesn't believe in science and Earth's model is science, it doesn't matter which shape, is science, and you don't believe in that, well, looks like you flat earthers have made a logical and humanity error right there. So am I right, guys? See what I mean? No grammar whatsoever. And he's saying that science, the description of observational reality, is reality. And if you don't believe in it, you don't believe in reality. That's the sort of thing that really gets to me. Rev said, I'm going to have to stop this now. We've reached 31 minutes and this automatically times out. Your level of confusion is perhaps beyond repair. How you perform even simple tasks in daily life is the greater mystery. I'm guessing you need a lot of underwear. Actually, I'm a free baller. How ironic is that? A flat earther and I'm a free baller. Fuck underwear. I don't shit my pants. I'm like you guys. I'm going to do a part 2 to this.